everyone, and welcome to Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is Joelle here. Say
Hello,
hi.
everybody.
And this is our weekly show that we do Wednesdays at 11 Central, where we talk about topics in Microsoft 365. We both have SharePoint backgrounds, but we talk about everything sort of geared towards business users. We're not super technical. So we talk about SharePoint, OneDrive, Microsoft Flow, Power Apps. It's not called Microsoft Flow anymore. Power Automate, Microsoft Forms, Microsoft Teams, just all these different technologies in Microsoft Cloud. And just, a lot of tips and tricks and just cool demos. And the demos are just, on the fly. You never know what's going to happen. So today our topic is the concept of a recurring survey. And this is something that you'll find in Microsoft Teams, but it's going to use Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Forms, and Power Automate. So I'll go ahead and show you one that I built already and show you what it does. And then we'll go ahead and just build one from scratch. So let me show you where you can find this. So I'll share my screen real quick. And I will go ahead and show you the one I already did. So I'm in Teams. So this is a Teams window. And you can see I was kind of playing around with different things in here. So in my Teams window, I'm in Committee A. The way you get started to find this feature that I'm talking about is when you go add a tab in your Teams channel and you pick Microsoft Forms here. And you'll notice when you pick Forms, you have create a recurring survey. So this is this cool little pretty wizard of creating, and gives you some little pre-created little surveys. And these are employee well-being measurement, student well-being measurement, and daily health check-in. There are just 3 of them, but it's a Microsoft form. So once you pick one of these, I'll just say daily health check-in. It's actually creating the Microsoft form right then, and it's giving you a little preview of what's going to be in it. And then if you want to, you can go customize the questions over, and it will actually just open up Microsoft Forms in a new window if you'd like to do that. And then the next step is to set up the recurrence. Now this is the part we're going to be sort of deep diving into. It says to open, reminder, customize, and Power Automate. And it's basically going to create you a flow. And then it's really just got this template. I don't know if you can see when I hover over this what the URL says. It's a template in Power Automate called send a meeting reminder to Microsoft Teams during weekdays. So all it really does is it pulls up a new flow in a new window using this template, and then it tells you that you need to fill in this flow, and then it tells you to go ahead and grab the link to the survey it just created and then click save. So what it's doing is it's creating a Microsoft form, which I think we've had a couple of other Power Hours where we talked about Microsoft Forms and what they are and what they do. It's just a simple survey tool in Microsoft. It's just a one-way just form or survey where you're just one-way information. It's not like a form that you could create to build some sort of business process where multiple people, open the form and then someone else opens up the form and looks at it and fills it out. You can't do any of that. It's just sends data one way. So that's a quick synopsis of what Microsoft Forms is. So you have the form, and then this pretty little wizard is really just kind of pointing you into several of the other technologies it's going to be using, where it's going to create a Microsoft flow for you. And then what the flow is going to do is it's just going to be a recurrence. So the trigger in the flow is a recurrence. And then when it recurs, it's just got an action that's going to pop up in a Teams channel just saying, hey, please fill out this survey. So it's just going to do that once, in however often you set for your recurrence. I think by default it's like 3 times a week. And it's just going to pop up this link for people to quickly take the survey. and they have to click the link and fill it out. But then it doesn't do anything magical in here as far as the way, I'll just click next, check results. The check the results is exactly what the way you always look at Microsoft Forms results. There's nothing magical that has to do with this wizard that it does any differently than what Microsoft Forms results already do. So you're just going to go look at the Microsoft form in Microsoft Forms, and you can, just like you've always been able to do, go and export those results and analyze them just in Excel, just sort of offline. So then I'll just go ahead and click save. So that is, and another kind of odd thing that's a little off with this is that the way you create this recurring survey is by, like I just did, I clicked the little plus in the tab and created the new tab and then went through the wizard. But then when you finish the wizard, it actually adds this tab. So now you have the new form, and you can get to it in Forms. It's forms.microsoft.com. You can get to it in there. But you also have it as a tab in this team. So you may or may not even want this to be a tab. So you could still just go remove this tab, and it's not deleting the form. But if you don't want to have people going straight to the tab and you just want them to wait till they get the link, then you can do that. So this is kind of the result of, I'll show you what these results are that I did, and show you how I achieved these, and we'll like build a whole new one from scratch. So this is the action that it gives you by default in that little flow that it generates for you. It gives you an action that is just posting a message. It's post a message to a Teams channel. And it's telling you basically to get the hyperlink for the form you just created and to just paste it into this action in the flow. And it doesn't even automatically make it a hyperlink. You have to know HTML and you have to know how to make it a hyperlink. So I'll show you how to do that. But then I thought it would be nicer looking if it came in as an adaptive card. And we've had a couple of other power hours where we had the whole power hour was about adaptive cards. So this is kind of that technology again. So if you wanted to go look further about those are in the other power hours. But I thought it would be nicer if it looked like this. So it says it's employee survey time, and I click take survey, and then it takes me to the survey. So then you don't really have any accountability with that. You don't have any way of knowing or waiting for all the individuals to go ahead and take the survey. So all this does is post to the channel. So I guess let's see if anybody has any. Yes, adaptive card. Kind of looking at the questions here. Oh, another thing about Power Hour, and I didn't mention this at the beginning, is that we have our chat going on in Teams. So we have at the bottom of wherever you're watching this video, in the YouTube description or on our IW Mentor site, under the video, it's got a link to fill out a form if you've never joined Power Hour before, to be invited to the team, because we have to invite everyone as an external guest into this Microsoft Teams team. And then once you're there, you might have to, once you get invited, you might have to completely exit out of Teams and go back in so that you can switch your organization over to ours. It'll say like IW Mentor Power Hour. And then you'll have this Power Hour team. So you go to the general channel, and then in the general channel, I've added a tab each time we hold Power Hour, and I just keep the last handful of them in here. So you go to the one for today, and then once you're there, you can click play to watch the video, but you can also click this little show tab conversation, and that's where we're having our chat. So this is the live chat about what we're doing. So this is actually a Teams demo. So now that I've shown you what it looks like, what the kind of the overall of what the recurring survey looks like and what the end result looks like, I'll go ahead and start a new one from scratch over here in the channel we're using, which will be fun, right? And then we'll go ahead and build that whole thing and build the flow and all that stuff, because we have 50 more minutes and I've already shown you what we're the thing that we're building. So I'll go ahead and click the little plus, and I'm going to pick forms. And again, I'm just going to click create a recurring survey, and I'll go ahead and allow it to post to the channel about this tab. Now, let's see, how are you all feeling? I'm just kidding. So I'll just say employee well-being measurement. That's fine. I'll just do that. Everyone can let me know how they feel. And then I'll just say next step. And this is showing me what my form looks like. Now, as soon as I get to this screen, this form has already been created. So this exists. So I could literally just exit out of this whole wizard, and I would still be able to, have my form and do everything I need to do. So if I click to customize my questions in forms, it's going to take me in the browser tab over to Microsoft Forms. I'm not going to click this because I don't want it to open my default browser, because I have a special one that I use, where it's got my credentials for this tenant. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, you can go to forms.microsoft.com, and there's employee check-in. So let me go back to this. So see, there it is. That's the one that it just generated. So that's where it's going to take me to customize my questions in forms. And then I'll go ahead and go to the next step. And then this is going to open up. That's going to go into Microsoft Flow. It's going to go into another browser window. But I'll go ahead and show you what it generates in my other browser. So if I'm using, the cool thing about this is if I'm using Teams inside of the browser like this, then I go through that wizard, then all the little links that it pops up are going to keep me kind of with those same credentials. I don't know if a lot of you use a lot of different tenants like I do, but it really helps to be able to kind of stay with the same credentials in, whatever tenant you're working in. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that. I'll open that again, so it will show you the link, so that it will open up that specific template that it uses. I just have to do it in the browser for it to be able to open it up correctly. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well, Joelle? I'm gonna do another one.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so see, when I click these little links here, so open, reminder, customize, this way, see, it's opening it in a new tab, and it's not going to take me to a completely different browser and all that stuff. So it says send a meeting reminder to Microsoft Teams during weekdays. So this is a template. So then it's going to get you to log in to using your credentials to your tenant. So if you never tried this, another way to get to Flow is to go to flow.microsoft.com, and that is where it's taking you. So it's taking you to flow.microsoft.com, and it's taking you to the templates, and this is just a shortcut directly to a specific template. So I'll just do sign in there instead of sign up. I don't want to sign up. All right, so as soon as I click to sign in, then it's just prompting me for this, this template. And every time we use a template, it shows us what connectors are in the template. So, but that is the name of the template it's using. So all it does, it's got this recurrence. This is the trigger. Okay, so the trigger can be changed. So it's telling you by default, it's going to run on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So every single day of the week, you want to send a message in Teams to ask people to fill out a survey. But you can change this. So it's completely up to you what the frequency is. Maybe you just want to send it only on Mondays, or you only want to change it once a month. You can change that. So you can make the recurrence be whatever you want it to be. And then the only action it's got is this post message. So it just says, reminder, please go to the daily stand-up meeting. So you've got to pick your team, and I'll just say power hour, and you've got to pick your channel. And I probably should just create a new channel, but I'll just say, put it in ideas. And then it's just got text in here. So it's kind of, this little toggle button doesn't even work for some reason to toggle from code view back to regular view, just when it's a new flow. But I found that when I save it and go back into it, for some reason, it works better. So it's a little sort of an awkward interface when you first do that. Okay, so I'll go edit. And because if I want to put a hyperlink, I want to actually make this something clickable, then I'll want to be able to use that little code toggle. So I'll show you how that works. Okay, so what it's given me so far, it's kind of a mess, right? It's all everywhere. It's all different places. So it's given me a pretty little wizard to pick which form that I wanted, but then it created the form over here in Microsoft Forms. Now I've got two of them, the employee check-in and the daily health check. It created the form over here, and then it created the flow over here. And then you've also got the Teams channel where it's going to be posting something. But so it's still a little bit disjointed. So as long as what I'm trying to do is explain what all the pieces are and where they are and how to get to them so that you'll know how to make this a smoother, if you want to use this technology, if you want to make it work in a smoother way for you or work with what you've got. So I've got my employee check-in. And it's got this little, how have you been feeling, blah, 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 blah. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to use the employee check-in, and I'm going to have a free t-shirt raffle today. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm going to go back to forms, and I'll do a new form, and I'll say Power Hour 5/26 free t-shirt. Are y'all excited? Do you want a free? And I happen to be wearing the May the Course Be With You W Mentor t-shirt that will be giving you. So let's see. Do you want a free t-shirt? And then yes. No. Okay. Well, don't fill out the form if you don't want a free t-shirt. Okay. And then Joelle's cracking up. And then I've got, this is important. Do you live in the continental United States? Because I can't do shipping. I accidentally didn't say it was continental United States only one time, and I had to ship something. It would cost like $100 to ship. It cost way more than it was worth, than the object was worth to ship it. So continental United States only. Okay. And I'll say yes or no. Okay, and then who are you, I guess? Because I think it's got to be anonymous. Since they're external users, it's got to be anonymous. So I have to ask the email address. And then that's just going to be text, and it's going to be required. All right.
And then how do they feel about Lionel Richie, most importantly?
If I could get a picture of him and like have time to go put a picture next to it, that would be huge. Okay. Now let's see. I've got my settings. Anyone can respond. And yes, the end date is going to be today at 12 p.m. Yeah. And thanks for being a Power Hour fan. Okay, and then I share it. I get a short URL, and I copy that. So that's the thing that I'm going to use in my little message that I'm going to post to Teams now in the team that y'all are in the chat. So like I said, the wizard creates a form for you, but you really can just create whatever form you want and do all this manually. Okay, so the next thing that it does is it's got this recurrence. So I'm not really going to do the recurrence because I only want to, I'm just going to manually kick this off, and then it's going to go to you all now during power hour, and it's not going to do it, frequently. So I'm just going to leave this how it is though. So I'll say it's going to go to power hour channel called ideas. And then if I just paste that URL, then it's going to be kind of ugly. But let me see if I can type some HTML here. So give it some quotes. Please take the survey instead of leaving their default text. So what we're going to do is, I probably left this out, Joelle, that I'm going to be drawing a name. I'm not giving a free shirt to every single person who responds. I'm not sure if I made that clear. I said we're doing a drawing, right? It's a raffle. Like, shirts for everyone. I don't have enough shirts. Anyway, are you muted? Probably. Yeah. I didn't know if she said something important. Yeah, she's muted. She not muted? Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be doing a drawing like at the very end of power hour, and we're just going to pick a name. Okay. So I saved it. Did it run? Sometimes when you save these, they just automatically run. So did it already do it? Let me close this. So we don't need the little employee wellness things. Those aren't the ones we're doing. Let's see. Okay, so when it automatically triggers, it does this sometimes when you're working on flows, is it will trigger it before you even click play or click to trigger it. So it triggered it when it was just that default text before I was even ready to trigger it. So I'll go ahead and go back over to it and click run, and then that will run the correct one. Joella just turned your audio off and back on again. I don't know if I fixed it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now it ran. Now, there we go. So there's your... We're going to draw a name at the end of power hour to get the free t-shirt. Okay. So that's one way that you can make it look, and that's going to be kind of ugly, right? So what I was thinking, and you let me know kind of your questions in the chat, what I was thinking is that we could make it look a little nicer and not just be an ugly little plain message with a hyperlink in it. We can make it look like an adaptive card. So that's kind of what we're taking it to the next level just in the next half hour, is kind of taking what the idea that they've given us and making it look like a nicer sort of message that pops up for people to click on. And Joe, I just made the email address required for everyone, so I didn't put any kind of branching logic in the form that I just created. Sorry, it was just a very quick one. Oh, another thing about the t-shirt is that if you're a student at iwmentor.com, it's free to create a student account. We have a little store and you get points. We have a whole point system where you achieve points as you're going through our classes. And so we have a t-shirt raffle once a month, and you use your points to join the raffle. So just a little side note. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we're getting some responses. Now, what we want to do is go back to the flow. Now, we can also edit the flow inside of Teams. Now, I want to leave this window open because I want to be able to just quickly see all the commentary in here. But I'm going to go to this same Teams just in the browser so that I can kind of flip back and forth, because I can also go straight to Power Automate inside of Teams. And they've really improved all kind of what you can do inside of Power Automate in Teams lately. Like you can do a lot, you can do pretty much everything you can do just in the regular web interface. So by default though, it only shows flows that you created with Microsoft Teams. But the cool thing about this is that you don't see in the regular flow.microsoft.com interface is that you can see which team and channel that it's using in that flow. So that's a nice little interface. So it also gives you this sort of list of Teams templates that you can pick from, and those are only templates that involve Microsoft Teams. So this is the one that I used, and I can also rename this. So I can go in here and edit it, and I can rename it from here. Microsoft Teams Demo Power Hour, something like that. But what I decided to do is instead of post message, to use the Teams, narrow it down to Microsoft Teams. There is this post a message here, but there's post an adaptive card. So I'm going to do a search for adaptive card. Okay, post adaptive card in a chat or a channel. Now, we had a whole other Power Hour where we talked about this concept of posting an adaptive card and waiting for a response. And that's where you want to make sure that someone actually responds, like you're giving them a form to fill out and you want to make sure that they respond to whatever you're asking them. But this one is really just kind of putting a link out there and saying, you know, everybody in this channel, go ahead and fill this out, you know, 3 times a week. So it's got the Flowbot is going to be the one that's posting it, or else it would be posting it as me, the creator of the flow. So I'll just say I want the Flowbot to create it. And then I want to post it to the channel. I'm not chatting with the Flowbot. I'm just posting it straight to the channel. So then it asks me which team, and I'll just say Power Hour. And which channel, and it's going to be ideas. And then here's where it just says insert adaptive card JSON here. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know JSON. I'm not a developer. I don't write code. I don't know what to put here. So I'm just going to, this is I'm just going to get back to this. So I'm just putting an X in there and I'm hitting save because there's a whole other set of steps in here to figure out how to do the adaptive card. Now you can go to adaptivecards.io. Adaptivecards.io, and then that's where you can get to the samples. And again, this is some of the stuff that we talked about in those previous Power Hours, is all these adaptive card samples. But another cool way to get to an adaptive card is in Flow. If I create a new flow that has, I'll just show you this action that it's got. It is, it's the one that we used in the other, let me pull it up. Let me go here. To start with a message. So it starts with a message. Post or reply to a message. Let's see. Microsoft Teams. Let me narrow it down. No, it's not that one. Goodness gracious. Let me go find it. Hold on. I had it pulled up and then I exited out. I had it pulled up all ready to go and then I exited out of it. It's the one that I did in the other Power Hour with the where you can click on somebody's, when you're chatting with them in Teams, and you can click on their name and like send them an adaptive card just directly in the chat. For a selected message. So it doesn't have the word adaptive card in the name of it, which is what kind of throws me off. So it's called for a selected message, but the cool thing about this for a selected message trigger is that, look, it's got this little, instead of having to go to a completely different website, the adaptivecards.io, it just has create an adaptive card, and this has got that exact same interface just built into it right there inside of the flow that you're building. So this is just another way of being able to figure out this whole adaptive card thing, which is a prettier type of message. And as you can see from all those different samples that I just kind of flipped through, those are kind of examples of what you could do. Like one place you've seen adaptive cards is when you use the approvals in Microsoft Flow, that approvals action, that email that it sends you that's got the little approve and reject, and you can type your comment and submit it. That is an adaptive card. So that's an example of a really useful way to use one. So it's got this adaptive card adaptive card builder, and the cool thing is that I've got this copy card JSON. So once I use this little interface to create this card to make it do what I want, I can just click copy card JSON, and that is where I can post the JSON code that it was asking for in the other flow. So what I can do is I'll just delete some of this stuff in here. I'm not going to have a form for them to fill out. I just want to have a button for them to click to go take the survey. That I just want this whole thing to look a little nicer than that ugly little hyperlink. So instead of tell us about yourself, I'm going to go to this little, see, it's got element properties over here. So each time I click an element in the adaptive card, I can edit it over here. So take the survey, and I'm trying to read your comments. So funny. Okay, take the survey, and then this one is want to win a t-shirt in the raffle. Okay. And then this submit button. So it's got this submit button in here that's already in the little example that it had, but I don't want it to submit. I want it to take me to the survey. So let me get my link again, and I'm going to go back to here. And so this is the first thing I tried, is I just tried pasting this in here. Well, this didn't work. So you can't just take the built-in submit button and just paste a URL in and then have that function. So that actually just sent something broken to my team's channel, and it was not a link to the survey. So it's harder than that. So what I had to do was I had to go to the little schema explorer here. And so here are my actions. So the actions are what you're going to be doing when you are clicking a button. So you notice in here that it's got, I'll go ahead and go grab the code now. So I'm going to take this code, because I'm going to edit the code. So I'm just going to grab this card JSON, and then I'm going to paste it over in that spot that flow needs it. And then I'll just show you a couple of little things we have to tweak. So back to the other flow. Copied that, and then I'm not saving this. I'm just going to go back to this other one. And then here's where it needed the code. So that is really ugly, and I don't know what most of it means, but here's where it says action.submit. So instead of action.submit, I want it to be action.openURL. And then the icon URL is what I'm putting in here. And it's not supposed to say, oops, let me go grab my link again. Copy. That verbiage is also going to be a little bit different. So like make this say take survey. But this says type, title, and icon URL. But in my schema explorer, this is what the code is for action open URL. It's type, title, and URL. So this is URL with lowercase letters. So that is the difference. So it can't just be icon URL, which was the default that it had in there. It's like little tricky things here and there, right? Such an easy wizard, right, Joelle? You just click here and then your survey is amazing and everyone gets it. All right. So, oops, I accidentally put a capital U. That is not going to work. Okay. Save. Okay, now I'm going to test that, and it's just going to run it again. And so it's still, I still left the action in there that's going to post a link, but it's also going to post in a, see, it's got two things and it's going to do now. So now in, so look, I flip back over to Teams and I'm still in Power Automate in Teams. So I still had that flow opened up over here. So now I've just had the same flow open in a couple of different places. Okay, so now this is the second time this one posted, but now I've got this lovely adaptive card. Doesn't that look much nicer? So now I can click Take Survey and it takes me to another window and it looks nice and it works. So then what do we do with all the survey responses? Where are those? So that's going to be another thing to consider. So what, this is kind of a question for you all. What do you expect from the survey? Like, what would you want to be doing with them, or where would you want to see them, or would you want to see them in a SharePoint list, or how would you want that to work just in the real world? What would you be doing with a survey like that? So I'll go ahead and post go back to my forms here. I'm going to post the employee check-in one. That way you all can just, I don't want to look in the demo at the one with all of your email addresses. That would not be appropriate. But I'm going to take this employee check-in one and let you just fill in some fake, let's see, let me make sure it's got a setting to do anyone here. Let you fill in some fake data here. Okay, and then I'll put that in the Power, I'll just put this in where we're chatting. Okay, so this is the fake form that I just put in the chat that you all can fill out just for us to have just some fake responses to look at. So I'll just fill one in too. Click preview, and then just clicking some random things, stuff, no, whatever, okay. Okay, so then there is my response. So we're going to take this, the forms is going to give you some responses, but let me see what you all are kind of saying about what you'd like to do with it in the real world. Power Automate to copy it to a SharePoint list, survey results in Excel, Lisa says. Can you tag the whole channel so they get notified? I think that has more to do with the settings on the channel. So people can all have their individual notification settings of whether what they want to be notified about things in that channel or not. So like if somebody's turned off the notification for that channel, I don't think you can force this to notify people anyway. So it's gonna be a notification because notifications are turned on by default, but if someone's turned off their notifications, it's not going to do that. But you could have, Joelle says you could do the @ symbol and put the team name. But again, as far as like a pop-up notification, if those are turned off, they're not going to get it. But you can also, in the Power Automate, you could send those individually to people. So that was just the option that I picked, was just to post it to a channel. But if you wanted to send them to individuals, there's an action that does that. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Craig, for the information about the adaptive cards. Is there a way to get the feedback sent to a manager? Ooh, that is a good idea. I like that one. Okay, so let's do that. So every time an employee fills it out, do you want that one, like you just want that employee, that an individual survey response to go to their manager? That's something we can do. Now, as far as like figuring out everyone's multiple subordinates and putting them all together or something, that would be more than a power hour, but we can do it just for a manager. So let's see. Making sure to read all the comments. Yeah. Okay. So what we can do is if you wanted to notify their manager, I'll just get rid of this other action that I had in here so that we don't get two. And then, so they're going to reply. Well, the thing about that is it's not going to be part of this flow. It's going to be part of a different flow. So if we want a flow to happen when people respond, then you'll have to use the forms trigger. So this is the forms trigger called when a new response is submitted, and then you're going to pick the form you want. So this is, again, a completely different flow than the one that we already created. And I'll just say form t-shirt response. No, I don't want to do it for the t-shirt one. I want to do for the other one. I called it join our team. Is that what I called it? I thought it was employee check-in. That's weird. Let me just completely refresh. Refresh that. Maybe I just need a hard refresh my flow so that it recognizes all the forms I've shared. So let me try that. The browser session I'm in just might not realize that I had created more forms. No, it's just got the two. That is weird. I don't know why it only has two in here. It doesn't have that other one that I just created that everyone filled out. So anyway, so when a new response is submitted, then the next action you always have to use after when a response is submitted is that action is not going to, the trigger is not going to give you all the data about that form. So what you have to do is do get response details and tell it specifically to get the response metadata of that response. So then I have the details, I have all the data that people filled out. So one way that I can just manually go get it is if I go to, I'm in forms here, and I go to employee check-in. This is that one that everybody's filling in for fun. This is just the manual way of getting the responses. So it looks like most of you are very satisfied with your current arrangement of working remotely. That is so good to know. Thank you. And then most of you are emotionally exhausted. So I'm sorry to hear that. Anyway, so this is just the manual way of getting the results in a Microsoft form. It looks very lovely. And I can click to view the results, which is going to just show me just a list of just all the exact forms that people had filled in. But open in Excel is the way that you can just, again, this is manual. You're just, when you click this button, it's showing you the results that are in there. This isn't just like a spreadsheet that's just going to automatically have results as they come in. So this is just the spreadsheet version of what your responses are. So the reason I'm showing you this flow is because this is, if you don't want to do it manually, if you don't want to go to the forms and click results manually every so often, and you want to have something automated happen when each result comes in, this is what you're going to do. So you're going to get the response details, and then what? So then some of you had some great ideas. So Office 365 users has the Get Manager. Now, the thing about this action is that it's not going to work with this specific example is you all, the people in Power Hour right now, you're all external users in this tenant of mine. You don't have a manager in my tenant. So none of you are going to have a manager. So the Get Manager is really going to only work for actual internal employees. So, but what you're going to do when you get the manager is you can use responders email, and that will be whoever the person was logged into Microsoft 365 as when they filled in the form. And that is not this for the ones that are not anonymous. This one is anonymous. So I actually have a separate field that I created in the form. Remember this, it's called your email address. So I'll just put responder's email though. So it's going to go get the manager of whoever's email address that you put here. So then once it has the manager, then I'd want to go say, send an email. That's Outlook. So send an email. So it's going to use my Outlook connector. And then who do I want to send it to? So now that I have the person's manager, I want to send it to the email address of that person's manager, and then let them know what the results were. Employee, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be the responder. I didn't get the data about the actual person's first name and last name who filled this in. So that would be another action that I could do. If I wanted to just have like a pretty first name, last name, I don't even have that yet. So I can go get their pretty first name and last name. Office 365 users. And then it's going to be get user profile. And it says user profile of who. And that's going to be the person that responded to it. So now I'll have all the data about the responder and all the data about their manager. So now when I send the email about the person, I can go put their display name. So that's how I can get like a nice pretty name. Okay, so then once I have my email body, then I'm going to scroll down into all of my form data, my response data. So here are, it won't let me scroll down any further, but here are the questions that I asked in the survey. So I said, do you want a free t-shirt? And I could just type the name of each, whatever all the different questions were. I could say free shirt. Each question, I can just put that data in the email body, whatever your list of questions are. Live here, blah, blah, blah. So then I'd save it. So this is not going to work. I'm not going to test this flow because none of you have a manager. So it would just error out. There is something that you can do just in your organization if you want to be able to have a flow that gets the user's manager, but you want to be able to make sure that it still proceeds if they don't have a manager, then you can do this. So I can say do a parallel branch, and I can say notification. Let's see, notifications. Let me know. Let me, the flow creator, know no manager. No manager for somebody. Okay, so this is if it errors out. So if it has failed, it's going to go send me an email notification. And if it's successful when it gets the manager, it's going to send the manager an email. And then it's going to end. So that's the way you can make sure that the whole thing just doesn't fail out if it doesn't have a manager and nobody knows. Zach says, I don't have a manager. Don't you hate it when you're the CEO, Zach? Okay, let me see. What did I miss? And I don't know what happened to Joelle's audio. Like I said, we test all the audio and technical things at the very beginning of Power Hour, and then at some point, somehow her audio stopped working. Let me put it back to the other thing. Let's see. Now try talking. No. I don't know. Okay. Joelle can chat with us. We'll have to figure that out later. All right. So what did I miss in the chat here? Okay, so we had some people were mentioning that you wanted to add it to a SharePoint list. So, and we actually did that. We had a whole Power Hour where we talked about Microsoft Forms. I think it was like 2 years ago. And this is also a lab in our Power Automate class where you actually create a form and you go through the process of setting up that action to go write it to a SharePoint list. But I just don't have time in the next 10 minutes because what you need to do is for each question. So see all these columns in the spreadsheet that it generates? Basically, you're going to need to create a SharePoint list that kind of looks like this. So for each question in your survey, you're going to create a column in the SharePoint list. So when in the flow that triggers when a new form response comes in, you're going to do the action to create a list item in SharePoint. And then you're going to take each response, just like we did with each response in this email. You're going to take each response to the questions and put that data in that column in the SharePoint create item action. And therefore, every time someone fills out the form, it will create a new list item in SharePoint. Yay. All right, let me see what else. We got 9 more minutes. I think I pretty much covered everything. It's a lot of comments. It's fun doing a demo in Teams about Teams. Okay, well now we got to do the drawing, right? So let's see. Oh, I know what I'll do. Okay, so Joelle, did I share? No, I didn't share it with you. Let me share. I wonder if I can share that with you, Joelle. Share. Okay, I'm going to copy. No, that's the employee check-in one. Hold on. Forms. Free t-shirt. I'm going to share that with Joelle. So Joelle, I'm going to IM you in here. And then we'll get to do a drawing. So that is the list of responses. And let me know, I guess, in the chat that you got that and you can see how many responses there are. Because all we need is a number of responses. So, and Joelle's also going to visually make sure that nobody entered 2 of them. There's not 2 of anybody's email address. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a flow that generates a random number between whatever, however many responses that we have. So that'll be fun. So I'll just go create a new flow real quick. And let me make sure you can see my screen. Yes, okay. My flows, new flow. We're just making use of all the technology today. And I'll just do a manual trigger for this one. And I'm going to do an input of whatever that maximum number is. Max number. And then I'm going to do a compose. Compose is just an easy way to just put something together, put some text together with some dynamic data, or just do a formula. It's just so you can see it when you look at the flow results. So I'm going to do rand. So my random expression here is going to give me, okay, what is my minimum value? And then what is my maximum value? So it's just got 2 different little parameters in here. So my minimum is going to be 1, and my maximum is going to be whatever I type in as the max number. Okay. And then I should just, theoretically, I should just be able to look at this flow results, the flow results when I run it. And it might have already run. Sometimes it does that. Like I mentioned, it might just run. But I'll be able to go look at the results once I type in a number when I trigger it. Okay, so saved. And I didn't give it a pretty name. That's fine. Okay. Okay, there are 23. Okay, so I'm going to run my flow. Max number 23 and go. And then I'm just going to look at the flow results. $11. That's our random number. And we'll just say it. Let's see. Joelle, can you want to type it in the chat? I don't know. I don't want to get like all up in people's privacy by saying their first and last names in my recording, but I'm not sure. All right. Just put like, I don't know, their first name and their last initial and or something. We don't even know necessarily what their first and last names are because we have all we collected was the email address. So, do you know who it is, Joelle? Who's 11? Okay. Oh, let me see. Oh, okay. Let me see. Do a drum roll. The winner is, let's see. Go back to my team and put this back on this one. The winner is. So that is what the email address starts with. It starts with a K. It's like Kennedy or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and email that person. So congratulations. Woohoo! You're going to get a free t-shirt shipped to you. Yay. So that's fun. We should do that more often. What do you think? Okay, so that is any last questions about... Oh, it's awesome. That's okay. There she is. Cool. All right. So congratulations. And our Rube Goldberg machines, that is so true. So congratulations. And that was fun. And that was a lot of great questions and great interaction on that one. So thanks everybody for coming to Power Hour. And we won't be here next week. We'll be here the week after that. But take a look at iwmentor.com and you can click schedule at the top to see our schedule of Power Hours. And you can also join as a student, and we have a whole point system that's really fun. So as you're going through our courses, we even have several free ones. You can earn points, and then we have a little store where you can spend your points, where you can get, there's a raffle for free consulting, or it's an auction for free consulting, a raffle for a t-shirt. We have a drone. We have just a lot of cool stuff. So check it out. And thanks everybody for coming. Over and out. Thanks, Joelle. She's like miming over there.